Hi everybody, welcome to your practice today. So I'd love for us to just use this practice as a way to not only connect with the changes in our body and what's going on with our body, how we feel mentally, physically, emotionally, but also to kind of unwind and untie some of the tight areas in the body and finding a way to prepare our bodies for what's coming in the future as we grow and as we change shape and habits and all sorts of different things. So finding a comfortable seat to begin. Please take your time to gather what you need. I just have a blanket here, so if you like to have a little bit of support on the spine, tucking a blanket underneath the tailbone can be quite comfortable. So even just placing a little bit of a folded blanket, any height that feels best for you. Once you find just it snuggled underneath the sit bones or underneath the tailbone, you may just start to feel as if the low back starts to just lengthen out slightly, and maybe we find a little tilt in the pelvis, giving a little extra room for the center of the body. So taking the feet into a cross-legged shape, if that feels comfortable, and perhaps staggering the ankles to try to make sure that our legs don't fall asleep as they're crossed on the ankles. And just spreading out our base as much as possible. So if you'd like to take the heels a little farther away from the pelvis or tuck them in, just finding a really nice, stable base, a triangular shape in our legs. Start to let the eyes close here and simply notice whatever there is to notice. Guiding the breath in through the nose and out through the nose. Seeing if we can settle into our hips a little bit more, maybe leaning back slightly. Letting the shoulders release down from the ears. Maybe we feel the shoulder blades slide down the back of the body. Letting that breath gently envelop the upper portion of the chest, or fill up the upper portion of the body and the rib cage. And keeping that lift, let the exhale go, release the shoulders. Find a little settling at the base of the neck, the collarbones spread slightly. Bringing those ears over the shoulders, so maybe we find our neck or our chin is being pulled forward. Let's draw back slightly. Just imagine a nice loose string holding the very center of the crown of our skull all the way up to the ceiling or the sky. Just holding ourselves up enough. I'm sure we've all noticed or have witnessed a bobblehead. So as if our string is holding our spine nice and straight, but we're allowed to move slightly, to bobble side to side or shift and change. Just imagining that pull up on the inhale through that center line. And the exhale, softening. So finding a little bit of effort in our seat, but also finding a lot of comfort as well. And just a couple more breaths at your own pace, bringing yourself into this moment. Maybe it feels nice to place the hands on the belly, or one hand on our heart and one hand on the belly. Just following the breath in the chest, the ribs and the belly. And releasing the breath, feeling it come out of our torso. In through the nose and out through the nose, feeling our hips become a little heavier, settling into our sit bones a little more, feeling a little more spread in our tails, a little more spread in our thighs and knees. Embracing the weight in the body. And with our eyes open or closed, it's up to you. Inhale, the arms reach up above the head. And exhale, kissing those palms together, drawing them down to the center of the chest. And again, a couple breaths here. Inhale, we reach. And exhale, drawing in. Taking another big breath, bringing the rib cage with the fingertips as you reach above the head. And exhale, maintaining the height, relaxing the shoulders down to the center of the chest. Beautiful. Next inhale, reaching the arms up nice and high. Let's have a look up to the right hand. Let's look at the fingertips if we're able to. Stretch the chin up toward those fingertips. And then as we exhale, slowly releasing the right hand down by our sides, down toward the ground, turning the palm downward, finding the fingertips to touch. So nice long arm here, pressing down with our fingertips and away to reach the left fingertips up toward the ceiling. Let's just notice what this sensation brings for you. Pressing the ground away with the right hand, reaching up with the left. Inhale to reach. And exhale to hinge over to the right side, bend into the right elbow so you're able to hinge a little deeper if you'd like to. Opening up the shoulder, opening up the heart space. Bringing the shoulder blade back behind you, so maybe bending the elbow slightly. The left elbow, bending a little more into the right elbow if you have the space. Pressing the ground away from you to open up the side waist a little bit more on the left side. So you push the right hand away from you. Beautiful. Let's take one more nice big breath here. Maybe looking down to our planted palm or up to our extended arm. Next, inhale, press the ground away from you to lift the right arm up. Watch the hand reach all the way up. Switch our gaze to the left hand and exhale the left hand. Ease it down nice and slow with that breath. Turning the fingertips down toward the ground, planting down, reaching up with the right fingertips, pressing into the ground with the left fingertips and pushing the ground away from you as you lift up and extend that side waist a little bit more toward the ceiling or toward the sky. Inhale to reach as tall as you possibly can with the right fingertips, and exhale to plant the left hand, bend the left elbow, and hinge yourself over toward the left side. Maybe bending the right elbow as well to bring the shoulder blade back to open the chest, open the heart space. Gaze wherever feels good for you on your neck. Press the ground away from you with the left hand to open up the right side waist. Inhale as you press the left hand away from you, away from the ground, and reach up. Watch the hand come up above the crown of the head. Reach the gaze, and exhale, hands come into the center of the chest. Inhale to reach up, big sun breath. Exhale toward the center of the chest. One more inhale as we reach. Holding those fingertips above the head, reaching the fingertips as far up as we can, lifting the ribcage along with it, bending into our right elbow and placing the fingertips just in between our shoulder blades. Bend the left elbow to place the left fingertips on the outside of the right triceps, so the right arm, just finding that elbow and holding onto it, lifting up with the ribcage. Inhale. Exhale, keep that height and just engage the core slightly to bring the belly in toward yourself. Pointing that right elbow toward the sky. Inhale to reach upward. And then exhale to hinge over to the left side, lengthening out the right arm, the shoulder, the side body. Take one more nice good breath, keeping equal balance in our sit bones, just going as far as you can while lifting upward, reaching. Beautiful. Next inhale, bring ourselves back toward the center. Open up the arms again toward the ceiling. Next, this time bending our left elbow, placing the fingertips in between the shoulder blades. Bend the right elbow to find that left elbow with our hand. And the same thing here, we're reaching up with the left elbow toward the ceiling, knitting the rib cage in, just lifting upward, imagining that string holding our spine, holding our head above our neck, reaching up with that elbow. Inhale. And then exhale, hinging ourselves over toward the right side. Just going as far as your body will let you, keeping the balance in our sit bones. So sort of pressing the left sit bone away from you to ground back down. Inhale and exhale. Inhale back toward the center. Reach those arms up toward the ceiling, and exhale, hands toward the center of the chest. Give those arms a little bit of a break. Plant the palms on our thighs, and we'll just roll the shoulders a little bit here. So we'll inhale those shoulders up toward the ears, rock them back toward the back body and down. Inhale up toward the ears. Exhale as you round them back and down. Inhale up toward the ears. Exhale back and down. Maybe it's helpful for you to place the fingertips on the cusp of our shoulder caps here. Inhale those shoulders up. Exhale, drawing back and down. Maybe even using those elbows. Inhale up. Exhale back and down. And just a couple more times. Inhale and exhale. If we don't feel it useful to follow the breath, just notice in the body. So maybe it feels interesting to inhale as you send the chest forward, and exhale as you draw in. Let's go the other way. So let's go bring those shoulders up toward the ears, draw back and down. Inhale up, draw back and down. If we went the other way, let's draw back, up, forward and down. Draw back, up, forward and down. Maybe it was helpful just to rest the hands on the thighs, lowering down, finding any little sticky spot, any little bit of crunch, any little bit of work or pause or area, maybe just rolling each shoulder one at a time, maybe back one at a time. Beautiful. Sweep the arms behind you, interlace the fingers. We'll press our fists toward the ground, just bringing the shoulders away from the ears, drawing the chin up toward the sky. And it's up to you if you'd like to pick the fists up off the ground slightly, or just rest them down and press them down toward the earth. Beautiful. Releasing the hands, inhale to reach those arms up above your head, and exhale through the center of the chest. Beautiful. Let's just go ahead and walk ourselves forward into all fours. So take your time removing your propping if you need to, or placing something underneath the knees like a blanket or folding the mat. So just walking forward over your feet and then finding ourselves into a comfortable all fours shape. So finding our wrists under shoulders and our knees under hips. Give your toes a little tuck to feel a nice good stretch in the tops of the feet and the bottoms of the feet. We'll press the ground away from you to lengthen out those arms. To feel a little spread between our shoulder blades, so maybe using the grip of your mat, pressing the ground away and pulling it apart slightly to feel that openness in the back body. Taking a great big breath into that space that you've created for yourself. And exhale through the nose. Let's take another breath. Inhale through that space in the center of the shoulder blades. And exhale, let it go. And let's do the similar thing with our knees. We're already pressing down with the knees. Let's see if we can pull the mat apart with our knees. Pull the mat apart with the hands. Feel a little bit of spread here, and inhale through the nose. And exhale through the nose. Keeping that spread as you inhale, send the tail to lift upward. Let the weight of the belly draw the belly down and the bottom of the rib cage down. Pull the mat toward you, lift the chest forward, the chin maybe lifts. Take a great big inhale here. Then as we exhale, tuck the tail in toward you, tilt the pelvis, press the ground away from you, and just tuck in as far as is comfortable feeling for you. Tucking the chin in as far as it'll go for now, finding as much space as you have. Inhale, the tail lifts, draw the belly down, bring yourself forward, lift the heart open, and exhale, tuck the tail in, round yourself into that cat shape. Inhale, cow, and exhale, cat. Let's do 3 more. Inhale, lifting the tail, dropping the belly, lifting the heart, and exhale, rounding in toward yourself. Wonderful. And finding a different variation in our cat-cow. So if at this point we'd like to place something under the knees, if we need to, take your time here. So we're just going to go ahead and extend the left leg toward the side, making sure we still keep the right knee underneath the right hip, planting nice and firm into the outer blade of the left foot, the ball of the foot, and the heel. The hands still stay shoulder width apart, working through a cat-cow here again. So tilting the tail up, noticing that rotation in the hip, perhaps if that just feels really nice to stay here for a moment. And then let the belly come down, send the chest forward, lift the heart and chin if it's necessary for you, helpful for you. Exhale to tuck the tail in, round the spine, tuck the chin as much as you feel comfortable. Maybe there's a little more space right now. Inhale the tail, drop the belly, heart forward. Exhale into your cat pose. And inhale into your cow pose. Coming back to a neutral shape. Bringing the left leg back in, extending the right leg toward the side. So again, finding those shoulders over our wrists, finding the left knee underneath the left hip. So we just want to make sure we have that little bit of structure here. Pressing into the foot nice and firm. Inhale to lift the tail, drop the belly, heart forward, lift the chin and chest. Exhale, the tail comes in. Notice the rotation in the body. Take your time here. Inhale into your cow pose. And exhale into your cat. Maybe one more flow is good for you. Inhaling into cow. And exhaling into cat pose. Using your next inhale into a neutral shape, bringing the right knee back in underneath the hip, finding our all fours again. Taking the knees nice and wide, bringing the big toes to touch, and sending our hips back toward the heels, coming into a child's pose. So just notice here how this feels in your hips. Maybe that handy blanket or something to elevate the hips a little bit might feel nice. So we could place the blanket underneath, and all of a sudden we have a little bit of width in the knees. So just taking a moment to feel, to notice, walking the hands nice and far forward. Maybe bringing the forehead down, maybe placing the forehead on the backs of the hands or on our fists. Stacking those fists, creating a little more space for the front body. So taking a variation that works for you. Or maybe coming up off the heels slightly. So adjust yourself as you need to. Let's take a few breaths here. Exploring the back body, finding a little less compression in our low spine, finding maybe a little more openness with the hips, maybe walking the hands really far forward, letting the elbows raise up, and feeling the length down the side body. Maybe pulling the mat toward you or pushing it away from you into the hips or lengthening out away from the hips. So kind of explore here. Let's take another 2 breaths or so in our child's pose. So maybe pressing the mat away from yourself. Maybe pulling the mat toward yourself so we can lengthen out the side waist. And lift the hips away from the heels, tilting the pelvis as you pull forward. And then on our next inhale or exhale, bring ourselves up to all fours and take your time, bringing the knees a little bit wider than the hips, placing the palms a little bit wider than the shoulders, just very slightly wider. Bringing those knees a little bit wider here, tucking the toes, pushing into the toes, lifting up the knees, sending the hips up and back, press into the palms to draw ourselves back into our first downward dog shape here. So pressing into the mat with our palms, with our fingerprints, with the outer ridges of the hands, the thumbs, finding that little pocket, that little space in our palm, in the center of the palm. Getting a grip of the mat, sort of pulling it away from itself to feel those shoulder blades open up, to feel a little broadness in the rib cage. Breathing into the upper chest. And exhale. Just trying to tilt the pelvis back, using up that space. Wonderful. Coming forward, drawing the knees down toward the ground, the shoulders over the wrists. Let's walk our hands one hand forward. So where our fingertips ended is where we'll bring our palms. The shoulders over the wrists, so coming into a nice supported kneeling plank. Bringing the knees back if you'd like to slightly, tucking the toes so we have a little bit of security. Press the ground away from you. Bringing the shoulders a little bit beyond the wrists. Just take a moment here to feel a very gentle sensation through our side core, back body. And then it's up to you here if you'd like to take an inhale in your plank and exhale, just a little baby push-up down. Long neck here. Inhale to press the ground away from you. And a couple more if you're into it. Exhale, little baby push-up. And inhale to press away. One more time. Exhale, little baby push-up. And inhale to reach it up here. Beautiful. Picking our hips up and back, coming back into our downward dog. Walk the feet in if you'd like to. And just taking another breath or so here. Taking the feet a little bit wider if that feels comfortable for you. Beautiful. Let's inhale, pick up our right leg, bring it up and back. And then exhale, bending the knee and stepping the foot toward the outside of the right hand. So take your time, grab the ankle if you need to, bring it a little closer. The hands are on the insides of the knee. Wonderful. Let's just go ahead and bring that left knee down toward the ground. Beautiful. Picking up the right hand, going in for a nice twist here. Reaching the right hand up toward the sky, making sure we have lots of room between our thighs. So if we'd like to take that left hand a little bit wider, feel free to do that. Just give yourself a little more space. And then exhale the hand toward the inside of the knee. Give yourself lots and lots of room here. Tucking the left toe if it isn't already. Lifting up the knee, stepping back to a downward dog. Feet nice and wide, hands nice and wide. Press the ground away from yourself. Inhale the left leg up and back. Exhale, bend the knee and step toward the outside of the left hand. Help yourself through if you need to. Take as much time as you need. Bringing the hands in the inside of that left leg, giving yourself lots of room. Letting the right knee come back down. Walking the right hand out a little farther if you need to, and picking up the left hand to come into a twist. Reaching up with the left hand. Lots of room opening up the knee if we need to, opening up the hip, and exhale to bring that left hand back in. Picking up the right knee, stepping the left foot back, coming into that downward dog shape. Pedal out if you'd like to, take a moment if you need to. Lowering the knees down, bringing the wrists under shoulders, the knees under the hips. Go ahead and swing the lower half of the right leg toward the side, tucking the toes. So you have a little bit of a kickstand here with the leg. Shifting the weight into our right palm, and then lengthening out the left leg behind you, planting through the foot. So coming into a supported side plank. Take as much time as you need to, maybe walking the hand out or walking the hand in, reaching the left arm up toward the sky. Planting through that extended leg, so the left foot, planting through. Let's push our hand away from ourselves and push into that extended foot to feel a little more open in our side waist. So we have lots of options here. We can come out of this pose at any time, coming into child's pose if we'd like a little rest, or building on our posture here depending on our need for strength, our need for openness in our side body. So maybe bringing the left arm alongside the left ear, pointing the pinky toward the ground, pressing into the right hand to kind of turn the chest open. So use the hand to turn the chest forward and open. Wonderful. Maybe it feels nice to place the hand on the back of the head, wrapping the elbow in, pointing the elbow toward the right corner of the mat, and letting the head fall back in the hand, finding a nice, really open line in our left side body. So just another breath here. Take as much time as you need to release the hand, to bring the left hand back down. Come onto the ball of the foot of the left foot. Bring the left knee back down. And then kickstand the right leg back in. So coming back into an all fours shape. Notice what there is to notice here. Take a moment for yourself. And then go ahead and tuck the left set of toes. Kickstand out that lower half of the leg. Shift our weight into the left hand so you can extend the right leg. Planting the foot down nice and firm, shifting the weight into the left hand when you feel ready, and reaching up through the right fingertips toward the sky. So just taking a moment here to feel whatever we would like to feel here or need to feel here. So pressing the ground into the ground with your right foot, pressing the ground away from you with your left hand. So feeling a little more openness in our side waist. Staying here if this feels good and makes sense to you. Coming out of it whenever you need to, or building, bringing the arm alongside the right ear, the right arm, pointing the pinky toward the ground, opening up the chest, feeling a little more in the side waist. If we'd like a little bit more, placing the hand on the back of the head, wrapping the elbow in, starting to point the elbow toward the left corner of the mat and let the head come into the hand, opening up the chest, feeling a little more open here. Couple more breaths. In through the nose, out through the nose, one more. And then exhale, placing the right hand back in. The right knee comes back down. The left foot comes back in, coming back into our all fours. Opening up the knees nice and wide. Big toes together, come back into your child's pose. Release the wrists and the arms and the shoulders. And come down and give yourself support in any way you need to. One more great big breath here in our child's pose. Maybe we wiggle the hips back and forth. Maybe we rock the forehead across the ground. Beauty, coming back into an all fours shape when we feel ready. Just bringing the hands in. Keeping the knees nice and wide as feels comfortable for you. Untucking the toes, pressing into the tops of the feet if we're able to. Maybe a little tuck if we need to. And then just starting to walk the hands forward, keeping the knees underneath the hips. So maybe as we walk the hands forward, our tail starts to tilt. Maybe we start to find contact with our forearms down toward the earth. And then maybe we find our forehead on the ground. Maybe we are flexible enough in our shoulders and our side body that we find our chin resting on the ground, bringing our arms about shoulder width apart. Maybe we can find a grip of the mat and pull the mat apart, feeling more open here. Maybe we can also do that with the knees. The knees are pressed down. Maybe we can press into the mat and pull the knees apart to find a little more spread in our sit bones. Let's take 3 breaths here into our melting heart. In through the nose and out through the nose. Wonderful. Start to walk the hands back in toward yourself, back underneath the shoulders. Tuck our toes, send the hips up and back, making the feet a little bit wider than the hips here in your downward dog. Pressing the ground away from yourself here. Wonderful. Taking another good breath here. Maybe swaying the hips a little bit. And we inhale the right leg up and back. Exhale, the knee bends. We'll step toward the outside of the right hand. Spinning the left toes out, anchoring through the left heel. Pressing through the right foot to come up to the right thigh, and then lift the arms up, coming into a warrior one. So perhaps you'd like to take the feet a little bit wider, the heels a little bit wider, lots of room for the hip space here. Bringing the front knee over the front ankle, Press through the back heel, the outer blade of the foot, and kind of get a grip of the mat and pull our feet apart from one another to feel nice and secure and a little bit of a lift. So we can sink down into the hips, lifting the rib cage up with us. Lift the arms up on your inhale. Slight bend in the elbows as if we're holding a little ball above our head. So we reach the rib cage up. We have this nice, good, strong structure here. Let's take a couple breaths here in our warrior one. One more good, strong breath here, strong warriors. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and turn ourselves to face the left long side of the mat. So opening up the arms to shoulder height. Notice if you'd like to change the foot positioning. So maybe wiggling the foot in a little bit in the front, finding our heels more in line with one another, or the heel in the center of the back foot. Turning our chest and our torso toward the long end of the mat, looking down our right middle finger, opening up the left shoulder. You can see our big toe here in the middle, on the inside of the knee. And we kind of have a sensation of feeling our quad muscle opening up from the inside out. Beautiful. Lifting up through the rib cage. Lift that rib cage away from the hips if we're able to make some space here. And exhale the shoulders away from the ears. One more inhale, nice and tall. And exhale, soft. Inhale, reverse the warrior. Tip the right hand up toward the ceiling. Tip the left hand down. Reach up or maybe in a little bit of a crescent back. Wonderful. Take one more nice good breath here. Open our side waist. And then exhale, drawing ourselves forward, bringing our front forearm on top of our front thigh, opening up the palm, pointing the fingers toward the left side, reaching our left hand up, and then maybe that bicep alongside the ear, pointing the left fingertips down toward the sky, down toward the ground, pressing through the forearm to lengthen out the neck, maybe opening up the chest a little bit more toward the side. Beautiful. Next inhale, opening up to warrior two. And as we exhale, let's go ahead and start to swing ourselves back toward the front, using our left hand as a guide, turning onto the ball of the foot of the left foot, and bringing the hands down toward the inside of the right foot, so wiggling out that foot if you needed to. Beautiful. Taking a nice big breath here. Wonderful. Let's go ahead and step back to a downward dog. Tip those hips back, press into the palms. Lots of room with those feet. Inhale the left leg up and back. Exhale, the knee comes down. We'll step toward the outside of the left hand. So again, take your time. Feel it out. So finding that foot nice and close to the outside of the mat. Turning our right set of toes out, anchoring the heel. Maybe we can also get that foot toward the right edge of the mat. Pushing into the front foot, reaching the arms up, coming into our warrior one. So we've kind of visited this before. Maybe we like to take a short stance warrior, walking the foot in. So we can kind of make it a little more narrow if we'd like to. Just making sure the front knee is over that front ankle. We can see the toe. Lifting the arms up, lifting the rib cage with the fingers, pressing through the back heel, the outer blade of the foot, holding that invisible ball above our heads. Feeling really rooted and strong in our lower half, in our base, and light in our upper half and the rib cage. Take another good breath here. Let's take a big inhale here. And then exhale to warrior two on the other side. So again, just notice where you are. Maybe we find we need to walk the heels a little more in line with each other so that we can open up the hips to the side of the mat, opening our arms to shoulder height, bending through the front knee, making sure it's aligned over the ankle and we can still see our big toe in between or in the inside of the knee. So we get the sensation of that front quad being wrapped outward. Send and open up the right shoulder. So opening up the chest, the torso, and the pelvis toward the side of the mat. Inhale to reach the rib cage away from the hips. And exhale to relax the shoulders away from the ears. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale to tip the right hand up, to bring the left hand up and the right hand back. Long in the side waist, maybe a little bit more of a curve reaching backward. Good, another breath. Inhale here. And exhale, bring ourselves forward, the forearm on top of the front thigh. Opening up the palm, reaching the right fingertips up toward the sky. Big inhale here. Maybe reaching the arm alongside the ear, pointing the pinky toward the ground, pressing into the forearm to lengthen out the neck, pushing through the foot and reaching through the fingers. Find a nice long side waist here. Beautiful. Inhale to come back to warrior two. And exhale, lead with the right hand to come back toward the inside of the left foot. So let's wiggle that foot out if we need to. Come onto the ball of the foot of the right foot. And then step back to a downward dog. Wonderful. Let's bring the knees down nice and wide. Come back to your child's pose. Kiss the big toes together and support yourself as you need to. Take a few extra breaths here, perhaps to just support underneath the head, to maybe lengthen out the arms to feel the side waists. Maybe we push the mat away from us or pull it toward us. Maybe we wiggle the hips a little bit side to side, rocking. Maybe rocking the forehead as well. In through the nose and out through the nose. Soothe yourself here. Couple more breaths. Find the ease in your breath. Honor your breath. Perhaps it feels a little shorter today. Maybe we find we have lots of space. Just noticing. Beautiful. Starting to walk the hands back in if we've reached them out, coming back into our all-fours shape with wide knees, with wide palms, so maybe a little bit farther than the shoulder width, tucking the toes. Let's inhale to tilt the tail, to let the belly drop down toward the earth. Lift the chest and the chin, reach with the chin. And then exhale as you tuck the tail in, round the spine, tuck the chin, just go in as far as you feel comfortable. And a couple more. Going with the pace and the rhythm of your own breath in your space. And just finding a little bit of length in the belly, a little bit more room. And a little bit more room in the back body to breathe. Going with the flow, the natural rhythm of your breath. Coming back to a neutral shape when we feel ready for it. Wonderful. Take your time to swing the knees over toward the side and come into a seated shape. We'll bring our legs long in front of us, so kind of turn the other way. Bring our legs nice and long here and opening up the legs a little bit wider than the narrow shape. And again, maybe we notice here we're having a little bit of trouble kind of finding a little bit of a comfortable seat here. So finding a blanket, if that's was useful to you in your seated shape, it's probably very useful to you in your staff pose. So I like this just a little tuck under the tailbone and let yourself sort of sink forward, and then you have this little support in the base of the spine. So just take a moment and notice if you like that sensation as well. Bringing the feet as wide as the mat is. And just a nice good breath, anchoring into the heels, flexing through the feet. Inhale, our arms reach up. And exhale toward the center of the chest. Again, inhale to reach up. And exhale, center of the chest. Wonderful. Bending into the right knee, bringing the right foot to the groin or closer into the thigh. So just noticing where we have, or where we might have room for that shape. Bring our arms up to reach. Beautiful. Exhale, hands to the center of the chest. Turning the torso toward that extended leg, bringing our arms up to reach. And then exhale, just hinging down about halfway, just feeling a little bit of hinge in our hips. And then inhale to reach those fingertips up. Exhale, hinging about halfway, so just finding a little flow here. Inhale to reach up. Just moving a couple feet. Exhale to lower. And inhale to reach up. Exhale, hands toward the center of the chest. Wonderful. Let's go ahead and bring that right foot back out. So bending the foot, just kind of setting the foot off to the side, tilting the toes in the other direction, bringing the right arm toward the inside of that leg. So maybe holding onto the ankle or the foot, something like that. And then just finding a nice sort of comfortable shape here. We have a nice wide base here and we're pretty comfortable. Drawing our left arm up toward the ceiling alongside the ear. And then starting to turn the torso toward your left, opening up that left arm, maybe bringing those left fingertips behind your spine. Pressing into the fingertips, press them away from you to kind of tilt the tail outward, to bring the back into a nice long shape. Maybe looking toward the side of the mat, maybe we start to gaze a little bit beyond the back. So maybe toward our back shoulder, toward that left shoulder. You can use the right arm just as a little sturdiness on the inside of the right leg. We have lots of room here in our twist. Maybe activating the left side and anchoring through the heel, flexing through the heel. Let's go for 2 more breaths here. Breathing in through that heart space. Pressing the ground away from you with those left fingertips reaching tall with the heart. And then exhale, coming back toward the center nice and slow. Let's bring the soles of our feet to touch. So bend both knees, bring the soles of the feet any distance in front of the pelvis. You decide what feels best for you. Maybe holding onto the ankles or the toes, probably more the shins or the ankles. And then just starting to make little circles with our sit bones, with our tail, with our pelvis. Just rocking into the base. Making those circles a little bit bigger. A little bit bigger. Just if we're sort of a pin, a bowling pin that's deciding whether we're going to fall over or not. We're just going to keep spinning on that circular base of our pin, of our root and our tail and our pelvis. And then the other direction, so little circles first. And then maybe making them a little bit bigger. Again, we're just rocking on the base of our pin. Beautiful. Little bit bigger. A couple more times in this direction. Beautiful. Coming back toward the center. And then bringing the right foot in toward the left thigh and extending the left leg nice and long. So just taking a moment here again, same thing here, just feeling out this shape. Inhale, our arms reach up. And exhale, hands toward the center of the chest. Inhale, arms reach up again. And exhale, center of the chest. Switching legs now, so extending our right leg, bringing our left foot in toward the groin or in toward the inside of our thigh, anchoring through our right heel, flexing through that heel. Inhale, arms come up. Notice the differences on each side. Exhale, hands toward the center of the chest. Turning our torso just to face that right leg, so just facing that length of the leg. Inhale, arms up, reach, arms alongside the ears. Just going to hinge ourselves maybe a foot down or so. And then inhale to reach the fingertips back up. Exhale, hinging the hips forward. And inhale to reach up. Just go a little bit forward. Reaching forward, just lengthening a little of the low back, and then back up again. Exhale, hands toward the center of the chest. Sending our left foot out with our knee bent, opening it up nice and wide, bringing the left arm on the inside of the left leg, maybe holding onto the foot or the ankle, wherever is available, maybe the shin if it's more available for you. Flexing through that right foot, bringing the right arm alongside the ear, reaching up, and then starting to turn the torso toward the right. Bring the right arm behind your spine, so the fingertips come down toward the earth. Press the ground away with those fingertips to open up the chest a little more, to open up the shoulder. Finding a little bit of tilt maybe in the tail, or noticing a little flare in the tailbone. Noticing and feeling whatever there is to notice and feel. A little bit in that left hip. Finding a nice little twist down that chain of muscles in the right side and the left side. Maybe taking our gaze toward the shoulder, toward our right shoulder. And taking 3 breaths here in our twist. Tall in the spine, imagining again that string that's holding our crown all the way up to the ceiling or the sky. Long, but still room to shift and room to bubble. Beautiful. And as we exhale, coming back toward the center, bringing the soles of our feet to touch with our knees bent. And again, finding just a little circling one direction first. A little bit bigger. A little bit bigger. And stopping in the center, going in the other direction, little wee circles. Little bit bigger. Little bit bigger. Beautiful. Coming back to your center. Crossing the ankles over top of one another. Let's see if we can walk ourselves forward with those hands, coming up over top of our ankles, uncrossing the ankles and coming into a tabletop shape. So just notice how that transition was for you. Move your props away if you need to, coming back into our all fours, bringing those knees a little bit wider than our hips, the wrists a little bit wider than the shoulders. And we'll just go through one little active sequence before we come down to cool down. Tucking the toes, bringing the hips up and back. This is our last downward dog. Lengthening out those arms just to notice the difference we feel. Maybe we do feel a little heavier, a little more tired through the end of the practice, but maybe we feel just the opposite. Maybe this downward dog feels a little stronger, a little more powerful. Pressing the ground away from yourself and then kind of bringing the hands away from one another to feel those elbows, or to feel the shoulders wrap outward, to feel some space in the chest to breathe. Inhaling through the upper chest. And exhale to tilt the tail a little bit more. Maybe we push the heels away from the hips. See if we can lengthen out the hips. Let's lower down the knees. Walk the hands one hand forward, coming into our kneeling plank, bringing the wrists over or underneath the shoulders. Taking a great big breath here as you press the ground away from you. And an option to stay here for a couple breaths, or option to flow. So inhale as you push away. Exhale, just a mini push up down. Inhale to push away. And exhale, a mini push up down. Inhale, pushing away. And exhale to lower. Inhale to push away nice and tall. Untuck the toes. Bring the knees nice and wide. Send the hips back toward the heels. Lengthen out those arms if we're able to. Finding a nice open child's pose here with our side body, the reach of the fingertips. Take an inhale through the center body. And walking the hands over toward the right side of the mat. Maybe crossing the left hand or interlacing the left fingertips inside of the right fingertips on top of the hand. Maybe we're able to press those fists away from ourselves and snuggle the forehead down toward the ground. Maybe we're in need to make some space, so we bring our hands around shoulder width apart, pointing in the right side direction, and then allowing our forehead to come down. And take 3 breaths here. And go as far over to the right side as you need to, as feels useful to you. Pressing down and away from you with the right hand so we can encourage the length through the left side waist. Kind of pressing the left hip back. And then as we inhale, walking back toward the center, take a nice good breath in the center line, maybe pressing the ground away from you or pulling it toward you. And then as we exhale, walking over toward the left side of the mat. A couple options here, maybe pressing or maybe placing the right hand on top of the left, interlacing the fingers, snuggling the forehead down. If we don't have enough room, separating the hands shoulder width apart, tilting over toward the left side and bringing the forehead down. Pressing the ground away from you with the left hand to push the right hip back. In through the nose and out through the nose. One more. Beautiful. Next inhale, walk ourselves back toward the center. Pick our hips up, coming back into all fours. Wonderful. Let's come back into a seated shape. So I'll bring myself over to face you. Well, you can face the short end of the mat if you'd like to. Bring yourselves up into a nice, easy seat. Noticing whatever there is to notice. Maybe there's a difference here. I'm sure there is something different here. Feeling as if our spine is more aligned than it was before. Feeling a little taller. Maybe we have just a little more room to breathe. Maybe we can feel our breath not just in our chest, but in our back body and the rib cage and the side body. The shoulders release away from the ears. Wonderful. Inhale, reaching the arms up above you. Exhale, the hands to the center of the chest. Inhale to reach up again. And exhale to bring them down toward the center of the chest. Let's inhale, bring those arms behind yourself, interlace the fingers, and bring the clasped hands to the left side waist. So in between or in the center of where the hips and the ribs meet. Pointing the left elbow toward the side. Taking a big breath here. Inhale to reach upward. Taking a careful notice to see if that back arm presses the rib cage forward. Let's knit the rib cage back in, lifting upward instead of forward. Beautiful. Bringing the elbows toward one another. So kind of squeezing those elbows back toward you, kind of and also resisting the urge to push the chest forward. So squeezing the elbows toward each other, lifting upward. Beautiful. Bringing the ear toward the right shoulder. Just let the head fall toward the right side. Squeezing the elbows toward each other. Inhaling through the upper chest to lift up high instead of being pulled forward. And then have a look at the right knee. Just sort of look with your peripheral vision, pointing the nose a little bit downward toward the ground. Just having a look, turning the face. And then the chin in toward the chest. Bring the fists over to the right side waist, where the hips meet the rib cage. Point the elbow toward the side, and then bring the nose back up to the center. Beautiful. Squeezing those elbows toward one another, bringing the left ear to the left shoulder. Same thing here, knit the rib cage in, lifting upward instead of forward. Reach those elbows back. Let gravity take the head to the left. And then bringing the nose to point toward or looking down toward the left knee. And then the chin in toward the chest. Release those arms along our side. Inhale to bring the arms up and look up toward those hands, meeting them together. Exhale toward the center of the chest. Now taking a moment to note where you are in your growth and what you would need to lay down. So depending on where you are and what stage you're at, perhaps laying on your back isn't comfortable anymore. Maybe you're lucky enough to have a whole bunch of props and bolsters and things like that, and you already know exactly what to do, coming into maybe a reclined position to open up the chest. Maybe it feels nice and comfy just to lay on our side. So take a moment for yourself to notice and to kind of arrange ourselves into a shavasana, so into a final relaxation where we're able to just be still. So deciding on what side of the body feels nice for you, maybe laying on the left side of the body might feel nice. Maybe laying on the right side. So just take a moment. Maybe you've had advice from your doctor on which side to lay on your body. So please take that advice before my advice. I am not a doctor. So we'll just make sure that we're comfortable in the position we've chosen. So if we're kind of early on in our growth, maybe we would like to simply take our blanket that we've brought in and roll it up into a mini bolster, place it at the base of the spine, and let ourselves roll back on top of it. Maybe elevating the head, placing something or a blanket underneath the head, opening up the hips. So you decide if you're at a stage where laying on your back feels fine and is advised to be okay, feel free to open up into that nice wide-kneed position, bringing the feet together. So please take your body into consideration. Please take your doctor's advice into consideration and find a little space to lay down. Maybe finding that seated shape feels just right for you. So we'll just lay down or sit for a couple minutes, finding any comfortable adjustments you need, maybe something underneath the thighs to feel a little more comfortable. So again, just making sure we're doing what's right for our bodies. Giving ourselves this time to be still while noticing the movement that's still sort of present in the body. So maybe we can feel circulation in the body, the muscle memory, banking all of its knowledge. Maybe the breath feels a little more spacious or feels like it's traveling into parts of the body that it's been missing from. But simply taking the time just for you, away from everybody else and everything else. Just giving your body time to restore. Patience and kindness, cultivating in every little dark corner. And we'll spend another few quiet moments here, and I promise I'll bring you back when it's time to come back. Staying exactly where we landed, just for another few breaths, quiet, stillness, feeling a little more comfy in our bodies, hopefully. Embracing our changes and differences, maybe daily differences or weekly differences. And then starting to just wiggle through the body, maybe the fingers and the toes, finding awareness in the body. Maybe we reach our arms over our head or reach above the head in some way. And pressing ourselves up to a seated shape. Please take as much time as you need to find your way there. And use whatever you need to create a easeful seat. Maybe finding a little pillow to sit on or that blanket that we had before. Propping up those hips maybe a little bit higher. Letting the knees fall downward from the hips. Feeling long in our spine, closing the eyes in our seat. Grounding down through the hips and the sit bones. In our triangular base we have here, growing from our root, feeling buoyant and light and spacious in the top part of the body, a rib cage floating, space between the hips and the ribs, now noticeable. The shoulders rest comfortably on top of the ribs. We feel lots of space in the chest, the collarbone, the neck. I invite you to place one of your hands on your heart and one on your belly, taking a great big breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. My heart is at ease, knowing what's meant for me will not pass me by, and what passes me by was not meant for me. Let's inhale, arms up, big sun breath to end our practice. Kiss those palms together, exhale to the center of the chest. Thank yourself for your practice today. Namaste.